we can you can drop off. I understand you have a meeting. So let's start by talking about this game NatWest 2002, right? I mean, it was a game which very close to all of our hearts. So, Guddu, what is your most prominent memory of that game? If I have to ask you for one memory.
I have to say it was Dada ripping his shirt off. I mean, it was that passion and that vigor that he infused into the team and to the sport, and ripping his shirt off and showing that celebration that has been burnt into our memory hardware. And then also one thing that I couldn't figure out why that happened was there was one shot where I think somebody slashed hard, the ball flew off the blade, went all the way to the boundary, and the wicketkeeper Alex Stewart was running all the way to the fence. I've never seen that happen. That was really weird, and it somehow stuck in my mind.
No, I remember, but it was like an inside edge that went to the leg side, and the ball was trickling to the fence, and Alex Stewart ran all the way back.
Yeah, I don't know why Stewart just kept running.
And just to add to that, the background why Sourav Ganguly did that. I mean, I'm sure most of us already know. Wankhede Stadium, right before that series, England was touring India, and in India India was up 3-1 in that series, and England actually won the last two games to tie the series 3-3. And at Wankhede Stadium, they won the last game by 5 runs. It was a very close game, and then Flintoff actually took his T-shirt off and waved his T-shirt. So that's the background of why
sweet revenge.
Why Ganguly did it. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a prominent memory. Amit, I know you haven't seen the game, but I know you've seen parts of the game on YouTube. You've read a little bit about it. What is your take?
No, again, I haven't seen the game, but obviously Dada removing the shirt, right? That was the big thing, right? And I was gonna say that like the impact of that thing, right? Like even today, like I think last month or so, Dada tweeted to Nasir Hussain about the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that century was so big for him, right? When you see Nasir's reaction after that century, to the stands, right? Like, I have done something, and then from there losing the game was a big thing. Like, so that's one of the things. Like, this game has become like that classic, right? Where like people will talk about that all the time, and that's what the other day Dada was tweeting to Nasir about this game and teasing him and all that. So I think
and it was a big game for Nasir Hussain as well, because before this game he was being criticized a lot by the English media, because he was not considered a one-day player, and this was his one and only century in one-day cricket. And if you remember, when he scored the 100, he pointed towards his jersey, which had the number 3.
It was his first century, and to lose a game from there, that must be tough, right?
Yeah. Avik, what is your everlasting memory from this game? I know you and I watched this together, so Prince.
Of course, I mean, the T-shirt wave was probably the most iconic thing which we saw. But before that, I think the heartbreaking moment for me was Sachin was in a lot of a kind of a purple patch, and he was moved down the order. He was playing in the middle order, but he I think he had two centuries in the series.
Yeah.
And he was playing really well, and he went for a weird. I mean, he left his stumps open. He made some room and did a weird cross-barrel shot, and he got bowled. So at that point, I actually switched off the TV for about half an hour. It was 120 odd for 5, and then I
just FYI, Avik switched off the TV. I did not. In my house, nobody was watching the game, because my parents also are avid watchers of cricket. None of them were watching it. I was the only one watching it. I mean, I've seen some really bad days. I've seen India getting out on 52, and I still watched that entire game live. So, but that's. I remember Sachin's shot. He tried to make room and played over on the offside, and then he lost his wicket.
Ashley Giles.
Yeah, and the next time I saw the score, we were 230 odd for the same number of wickets, and our run rate was pretty good at that point. So then I started watching it again. So about one singular memory, I think Sachin getting bowled, and the other one was I think that over in which Sehwag hit 3 4s of Irani, and I think he opened his face once, then he hit one shot. I think backward of square leg, he just turned his wrist, and he had like 3 4s, and all of them were pretty risky shots because he was playing against the line, cross back. I mean, almost across, and yeah. So that's something I clearly remember, that over where he hit 3 4s.
Yeah. Jolin, what do you remember? Other than, of course, the t-shirt swinging. We talked about the t-shirt swinging. We talked about Nasir Hussain, Sachin.
Yeah, for me it was not a big deal, but I think for me, I think what Avik said, correct. I remember precisely Sehwag scoring 21 or 22 of Irani's 11th over, and I think we were doing pretty good. Right? Four fours, and then there is a background story about it as well. And what the Duck series, correct? I think the bald guy used to have with Dada and Sehwag. So I think Sourav Ganguly was very clear because it was 11th over, like almost first power play was over, and he said, like, even before starting the over, because he was a slow bowler and he was doing really good throughout the series, and I think he was the man of the series, Irani.
Yes.
In that West, yeah. So said, like, let's not take risk, just take 6-7 runs because now we are in pretty good position, and then let's build on it. So Sehwag said yeah definitely, and then he took a strike, scored a slog over the mid wicket 4. So that Dada walked to kind of other end and said, it's already 4-4. We already have 4 runs. Just take the singles and then finish off the over. Then second was very risky shot. I think he slog swept again 4, and then Dada again, what are you doing? Let's not take a risk. So and the third ball was pretty risky. I think it was like absolutely. So Dada was so furious and said, I think this is not done, man. Again, he said, no, don't worry. And then again, fourth ball, fourth, and then Dada stopped, going. And I think Sehwag is like, whatever, like he did what he did, correct? Like, I don't think so he used to even listen to his captain. So I think for me, I think seeing that over and, the scoring 20-21 run was like amazing. And obviously, I think whatever Sehwag does, probably I blindly kind of love it. So
I know you're a big Sehwag fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of remember that Irani actually won a match for them. It was a rain-shortened match in that series, and he took 5 wickets against us.
Yeah, he scored a 50 and he took 5 wickets in the same game.
And the England attack was pretty innocuous, actually. I mean, so we had Alex Tudor, who would have 6 slower balls in each over. Then Irani also would only bowl slower balls. It was only Darren Gough and Flintoff who were actually conventional fast bowlers. And Ashley Giles was never very highly rated in the limited overs international matches, right? So their attack was not that great. So, I mean, although the target was stiff, but I think it was reachable, especially considering that the track was pretty flat. So, yeah.
So Abhishek, the one more thing, correct? So the only, I think at that point, and I thought only two guys thought, India would win. One is Michael Slater, because I think on the air, I think someone asked, who will win the match after England scored 325, correct? Slater, I think, jokingly said, I guess it's India, and I think it was finally India. And I was the only one, that's what I thought probably on that day while watching cricket, correct? And after 120 down, I think I was the only one watching cricket in my, my home. My nanny told me, like, what's now? It's now India going to lose. Why are you wasting your time? I said, no, it's gonna be fun. And I think it was amazing feeling. But I have watched that game ball by ball. Not even a single bit. It was an amazing day. I mean, I still remember, where I was sitting, and because I think scoring 300 plus in chasing for India, and that too outside of India, was a way. Like, it was the first time deal, I guess. I don't think so we have ever won before chasing 300 plus run.
No, so here's a little bit of trivia, right? So agreed. I mean, the England attack wasn't great, and the pitch was really flat. But remember, these were days when people were not used to chasing 300 runs. I mean, chasing 300 plus runs used to be huge. It used to be a huge deal for any team, especially in India. India was not very good at chasing. I mean, India even in one-day cricket, a lot of time they preferred batting first and defending the total. So that, keeping all that in mind, plus India had lost a bunch of finals under Ganguly. So they would make it to the finals of tournaments and then they would lose. So interesting, if you have heard Ganguly's interview on this game, where he talks about, he was very disappointed at the lunch break. He was like, oh, फिर से 300 बन गया, अभी कैसे chase करेंगे? And he was a little mad at the situation. And while they were going out to bat, he heard this guy whistling. So he's like, he just goes to Sehwag and said, "तू क्या कर रहा है? 325 बनाना है, तू सीटी बजा रहा है अभी?" And then Sehwag, Sehwag being Sehwag, his reaction was, "दादा जीतेंगे आज तो जीतेंगे." And then Dada was like, क्या बात कर रहा है? 325 में भी तू बोल रहा है जीतेंगे? चल देखते हैं. Let's not try to lose a wicket in the first few overs. Even if we are 40-45 no loss in the first 10 overs, we should still be okay. But of course, what happened was completely different. Mahinder, what was your memory of this game?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of memories of this game, especially obviously, Dada ripping of the shit. I mean, that aggressiveness carried, a long way in India's team, especially, India was not known for that aggressiveness outside the subcontinent. But after that game, I think everything changed. So they had that aggressiveness, and also, especially, after losing so many wickets, after that Yuvraj got out, and when that I like the Mohammad Kaif's, composer in that game. And I still remember, it was when Yuvraj got out, he hit, I think, Irani for 6. I know that 6, I still remember that shot.
Yeah.
I think India was around 270 or something. Yeah, there are a lot of memories of that game.
No, so we'll remember a lot about the second innings. We'll come to that. But first innings, England's batting innings. What do you guys remember?
I as Avik mentioned, that after Nasir got 100, he was like showing his shirt, like Salam 100 mara, like. But after the last, I think it was like a teasing for him. And I heard there were so many comments when Kaif came to batting. He was like he was teasing Kaif, like. You're like a bus driver in India.
Yeah, Nasir Hussain actually sledged Kaif. Yeah.
Then then after winning the match, Mohammad Kaif goes to him and said,
not bad for a bus driver, right? Not bad for a bus driver. I remember that. Yeah. Julian, what do you remember of the England innings? Other than Nasir Hussain, of course.
Yeah, Trescothick scoring century, correct? I mean to say, I used to love Trescothick bat. I myself a left-handed batsman, so I used to follow left-handed batsmen a lot. So I enjoyed his inning. I think Nasir was, one of the reason I thought we won that match is because Nasir Hussain's 100. It was for him, it was a big deal, but it was slower than it used to be. In the hindsight, correct? Obviously, when they scored 325, it was a big deal. But I think if someone else would have been in place, probably they would have scored 25 more runs. So I think it is Nasir's 100, and like both the hundreds that they scored, correct? I think I enjoyed their batting. I think and also I think it was at the Lords, correct? So even big thing, yeah. So probably those two I think batted most of the time, correct? So I don't remember anyone even scoring a small cameo or anything. So I think centuries were the.
Yeah, so they of course both of them scored a century, and since you mentioned 325, I mean they were slated to score much more. India bowled really, I don't know if you remember, India bowled really well in the last 4 overs. India gave about 20 odd runs only in the last 4 overs. And which was a big deal because they had lost only 2 or 3 wickets.
That's right, yeah.
And correct. India, I mean, Zahir Khan and Nehra, they did really well in the end.
Correct, yeah.
Prince, what is your memory of the first innings?
My memory is actually a little negative there because I remember being watching the match and Zahir and Nehra being over aggressive for no reason and over pitching or bowling short, just like the 2003 World Cup final. So that's very similar actually. So
yes.
So Zahir Khan was totally, I mean, he was pumped up, but it didn't really help his bowling. So they were, I mean, the first initial spell they were horrible because I remember most of the runs they scored, the I think Nick Knight opening. With
Yeah,
Chris
yeah,
Gayle?
Nick Knight was
So Nick
opening,
Knight.
yes.
So both were left-handers, and the ball was swinging onto their pads, right? And most of them were scoring on the leg side because of the extra swing. And Zahir, Nehra, both were over pitching and they were drifting to the leg side. So it was a bit of good batting. It was more of bad bowling, I believe. So that's yep. So
Excellent point. Because if you remember, I think 3 out of the 5 wickets we took were from full tosses. The batsmen just missed, including Nick Knight. Nick Knight missed a full toss. Flintoff missed a full toss. So you're right. I mean, our bowling, especially early on, was not the best, and that's why they had gotten off to a really good start. Amit, what did you see in the highlights? Anything that impressed you or caught your eye in the first innings?
No, I guess other than Nasir and Trescothick, Flintoff made, I think he made like 40 or something. Right?
Yeah.
So, but
He had a decent contribution. And the other thing I remember was they played our spinners really well, because I know it was England and they don't get the same purchase, but even then, a lot of them even then used to struggle against Kumble and Harbhajan. They were not, especially Harbhajan, the Dusra he used to bowl, they were not able to pick it. So I think in that game they did a good job. At least they didn't lose too many wickets to them, because England usually, our pacers were not that successful against them. If you just leave out the World Cup 2003 game, other than that, most of the struggles was against our spin bowlers. So I think they did a good job of managing our spinners. And then Trescothick, he was a very, very underrated one-day batsman. I think he was really good, very aggressive up front. He had a very strange stance as well, right? He was almost upright when he batted. It was unlike most left-handers.
But he has a big following in UK, like.
Yeah, under what circumstances he quit cricket, right? He had some mental issues.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't continue playing cricket. I mean, otherwise he would have possibly been the best one-day batsman that England has produced so far.
I think in the first class he has some records which
He's and in England being an opening batsman is really hard. And with the ball swinging and everything, especially even in the county games, it's very hard. Okay, now let's go ahead, Avik.
I just wanted to add that I think Trescothick in the later half of his career with Strauss, I think they formed a pretty formidable opening pair.
Yeah.
I think that pair was very effective for England, and in both formats, test matches and in one day. In one day, probably they were more effective, and Strauss was a better test batsman than one day. But as a pair, I think they were possibly their best players, along with Kevin Peterson, of course. So they were a little top heavy back then.
Yeah, so Nick Knight and Trescothick, they made a really good opening pair, because Nick Knight was a very, very good one-day player.
Attacking player, yeah.
Both of them used to attack, both left-handers. So I think for a brief period, they did really well. Gudu, are you still on? I can see you. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, so I think Trescothick, Peterson, and the third guy, I think Avik mentioned, correct? I think all three had a South African background, right? Like they are from South Africa.
Yes.
All three, I think they had that, South Africa heavy batting lineup at that point in time. I think Trott, correct? I think all three were, I think, really good even in Australia. I think before they had to retire because of that mental issues. Trott and Trescothick both. Yeah.
So interesting that you mentioned the South Africa connection, right? When England won the T20 World Cup in 2012, was it, in the Caribbean? So there was some commentator who said that this is South Africa's World Cup, because it had Kieswetter, it had Peterson, it had Strauss, and it had a bunch of these Trescothick. So they had like 4 or 5 of their top 7 batsmen were from South African background. Okay. Now,
hey guys, sorry.
Yeah,
it's all good. I do need to drop. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, thank you again. Thanks for joining.
No, this is really good, having fun. Yeah, and nice meeting you, everyone. Okay.
Hey, I mean, we expect to see you in our subsequent calls as well.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Amit.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so now let's come to the Indian innings, the first 15 overs, right? Who wants to go first? And just talk through what we experienced in the first 15 overs. That's how I kind of divide the two innings into, right? The first 15 overs of the second innings and then the remaining.
I can go first.
Go ahead, Rich.
I think something very similar to, so I've seen Sourav Ganguly play an innings like this before. I remember him in the 1999 World Cup against South Africa, and he played very similarly, where he was giving himself room and he was playing through the offside. And that's exactly what he did even in this final, where he was giving himself a little bit of room. And since he's so good in through the offside corridor, he was just clearing his front foot, and he was just opening his face and lifting it over the infield. So that's one commonality which I saw in that innings and that 99 innings, where he scored 90 odd, I think. And of course, the South African attack was much superior than the English attack. But it was very similar kind of approach which he took, where he took on the bowlers initially and blunt them, and then we had a good run rate. And then later on, even after the wickets fell, it was because of Sehwag and Ganguly, because they maintained such a good high run rate that when the wickets fell and the run rate dipped, it didn't go below 5. So that really helped Yuvraj and KF to first consolidate and then probably pick it up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, some of the shots, one shot I remember, I think he hit Flintoff for a 6-over cover, where he made room and he just flayed him over cover. I mean, that shot I definitely remember. And the other shot I remember of him is, again, off Flintoff. He hit the ball so hard, it actually hit Nasir Hussain's hand, who was fielding in short cover, and it still made it to the fence. It was hit so hard.
Yeah.
So those are the two shots I remember. Jalin, Mahinder?
Yeah, so I think it is unusual to have, two openers with offside as their kind of a strong,
side.
yeah, because typically most of the players have a leg side as a strong, because I think both Dada and Sehwag had that kind of, so they used to take a kind of get a room for themselves to hit through the offside. And Dada was so exquisite. I don't remember anyone other than Dada, even after so many years. If the way he used to create the gaps, I guess, even if you have 5-6 player fielders, within that circle, he still used to score boundaries. Correct? It was pure timing, and I think the talent that he had. Same is the case with Sehwag. I think wherever what kind of ball, like whatever length, height, I think he used to score out like offside. So that was one of the I think India scored lot many runs in the first 15 overs, and after that I think it was sheer bad luck. I think one of the reason we won that match is because Tendulkar was not sent one down or earlier, because I think when Tendulkar comes to a bat, I think in such situation where India is going to create a history or scoring, had to score more than 300 runs, it becomes a Tendulkar and not India, correct? That was I no, like most of the folks would not like it or love it, but that's what the assessment was. He was not the limelight in Indian inning, correct? I think it was Sehwag, Ganguly, and obviously Yuvraj, KF in the end. So I think that was one of the reason India won the match, because Tendulkar did not come to bat a little early, or probably one down, I would say.
But the most important thing to remember is, why India made it to the finals was because Tendulkar batted really well.
It doesn't matter,
yeah.
correct? It's the final, I think, that matters, and I think more often than not, I think he has failed, except those 2 innings in, I think, Dubai against Australia, correct? I don't
And
have
in
a
CB Series Australia, I think I can name a few if you don't mind. I mean, I could.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So it's a classic.
CB Series two back-to-back match-winning centuries.
117 and 93.
Sharjah,
117 and 93.
Sharjah, a Singer Trophy finals with Ganguly. They made 230 in the final. So yeah, I mean, he has flopped more than probably his own standards. But
Correct.
yeah, I mean, if you compare Sachin to Sachin, then definitely in the final, a Sachin comparison with Sachin is not. But I think Ganguly was a much better player in finals. I completely agree with that. But that does not make Sachin a bad player in the finals. Only if you compare Sachin with Sachin, I think then it's a better discussion. I think because not many would. Because I don't remember a lot of players playing really well in the finals. Because Ricky Ponting flops, except for the one against us in 2003. Ricky Ponting also doesn't have centuries in the finals. So again,
just a trivia question for you guys, cricket lovers. Who's the only player to score a century in a World Cup semi-final and a final?
De Silva.
No,
No.
he didn't score a century in the semi-final. He got 66.
Gilchrist, Adam Gilchrist.
No. It's a name that that would not come to you, automatically. It's not a very common name that would strike you.
Damian Martin.
No. Damian Martin scored only 87 in the finals.
Which country is he from?
Okay, if I tell you the country, it'll be easy. But Sri Lanka.
Sangakkara. So
Jayawardene.
no.
Jayawardene.
Jayawardene. Oh.
So he scored 100 in the semi-final, and then he scored 100 in the final. Of course, they didn't win the final; they lost the final.
So I was thinking about a player who actually won the final. Sorry.
No. So he's the only one who scored a century in the semi-final and the final.
And the other ironic part about this final was that all the people who totally flopped in the series performed in the finals. So Saurav Ganguly had 90 runs in 6 matches. KF had 90 runs in 6 matches.
No, although Yuvraj had played well.
Yuvraj had, marginally played better. Only Dravid and Tendulkar played better. Then Dravid had 350s, Sachin had 200s.
But Yuvraj had one of man of the match though, for all round.
For his bowling and batting both.
63 and 3 wickets. Yeah. But that's true. And and honestly, when I saw Sachin batting at number 4 here, I had actually thought that maybe this is going to last for long, because at that time it was very hard for a number 4 batsman to score a century, which he was doing pretty easily, and he was still going at runner ball.
94 strike rate, yes.
So no debate that Sachin, of course, was awesome in as an opening batsman, but at that time I thought this was a good idea, because Sehwag and Ganguly could not play in the in the lower order as effectively. They could not play. But Sachin had the game to play in the middle order, and India could still maintain the right-left combination. And again, I might be crucified for this, but I was not a big fan of Sachin and Sehwag as an opening batsman. I mean, they had a decent record. They averaged, I think, 40 odd. And they would play, but I would still prefer the right and left combination. So for me, it will always be Sachin and Saurav as the best opening pair in one-day cricket.
I agree.
Because I know Sehwag was very aggressive, but he did not have the consistency. And then the right-left combination for me always became a problem for most countries. If you really see the last one-day series that Sachin and Saurav played together, that was in England, 2007. Even in that series, they had out of 7 games, they had 300 partnerships. And even then, they wanted. And it's a little weird for me. If you even hear people talk about game, they keep talking about opening combination, Sachin Sehwag. For me, I mean, even not average, not record. I mean, Sachin and Saurav have the best one-day partnership record ever, which hasn't been broken yet. In one day, in fact, in world cricket, test and one day included, 2 batsmen who have scored the most runs batting together is Sachin and Saurav, taking into account one day and test. So for me, they were the best pair to bat together.
And I always thought that Sehwag was a much more accomplished test player than one day player.
Absolutely.
I would pick Sehwag every single time as a test match opener. And I think Anil Kumble and Sehwag, and now probably Virat Kohli, I'm not sure about Virat Kohli, but Anil Kumble and Sehwag are the biggest match winners we've ever produced. Not even Tendulkar, because I think Tendulkar was more of a callous mold, where he's the consistent run getter for you, but a match winner, I think Sehwag and Anil Kumble.
I mean, they were more impact players, but I mean, again, match winning, of course, you just have to look at the record, right? How many matches Tendulkar has won man of the match. I mean, that gives you an idea.
And yes, but
Test cricket, I agree, because of the type of game they had, right? But when Kumble used to bowl, he would bowl the whole team out.
Run through, yeah. Correct.
And then Sehwag would destroy the bowling. So that's why I think in terms of pure match-winning impact, I guess they had a bigger impact on Test cricket. But even, I mean, same thing holds good for Kohli, right? I mean, Kohli hasn't won a lot of games in Test cricket.
Correct. Yes.
Because he plays like a conventional batsman.
And even now, when we have won abroad, it's the bowlers who have won us the matches. Even now.
No, so the other interesting thing that you talk about match winners, right? So I was watching this clip on YouTube which talked about India's big overseas wins. And the common person who's man of the match in most of those games was Rahul Dravid. If you look at all the big overseas wins, Headingley 2002, man of the match Rahul Dravid, right? Then
Adelaide.
Rahul Dravid. Then Rawalpindi, the third test in the 2004 series, Rahul Dravid scored 270. So these are three of our biggest wins. In that area, Rahul Dravid was the man of the match. The one match, of course, VVS Lakshman, that was at home. Then one win was in Durban in 2010, where Sachin was the man of the match. That's one game that Sachin won.
I think you missed a match against England, Nottingham. I think it was RP Singh who was the man of the match for that test match. RP Singh.
No, not RP Singh. Zahir Khan.
Zahir Khan was
the man of the match. So Rahul Dravid, he was the main guy in three of our biggest test wins abroad, which is extremely creditable.
Yeah, we rarely used to win the match, correct? So I think obviously it was Dravid only, I think, who carried us. I think at that point in time in all our sisters. So
yeah.
But even Lakshman has won us a few matches. So Lakshman in South Africa won that close match. He scored a 90 with Ishant Sharma in South Africa.
Right. So, that is the series we drew, right?
So Sachin did not win. He drew that match from an
yeah. Sorry, you're right.
I think
Gambhir and Sachin
batted 4 sessions against Morkel, Steyn,
Philander,
and I mean they had a brilliant attack.
You're right.
And that spell of bowling was electric. I mean, that spell of bowling from them, and they batted like genius.
Yeah.
I would like to
and
watch
that was
that
the only...
match. I forgot, man. Okay, so
yeah, Lakshman scored a 96. You're right. Lakshman won that game for India.
Yes, and in that, so Sachin became the oldest player to win the Player of the Year. So he has won it in 90s. He won it in 2000s.
Then 2010.
Yeah, exactly.
And no, the other match I remember again. This was, if you now look at it, it was not big, but India won a game in Colombo in 2001, and that is the time when India never used to win abroad in 2001, 2002, and Sachin did not play that test series. He was injured, and Sourav Ganguly scored 98 in the second innings to take India to victory. And that's one game. Again, Sri Lanka was not that great a team, but they were playing at home. So Sri Lanka was formidable at home with Murli and Vas and Dharmasena and those guys. And then, of course, we did not have Sachin and Kumble, two of our biggest players. Then they were not playing that series, and India lost the series 2-1, but India won that test match.
The other victory I remember is Perth. Agarkar got man of the match, 6 wickets in each inning.
No, not Agarkar. Perth, you mean in 2008?
Yeah.
Pathan. Irfan Pathan.
No. I'm pretty sure it's Agarkar.
No.
Won the man of the match.
Agarkar didn't play. Agarkar played in the 2004 series. Agarkar didn't play in 2008.
No.
He got 6 wickets in Adelaide. Agarkar got 6 wickets in Adelaide, the test match that he won, which Rahul Dravid won.
But the Perth test match, Agarkar won the man of the match.
No, he did not. I'll tell you why. Because Agarkar has only one 5-wicket haul. That is in Adelaide. In his test career, he has one 5-wicket haul. 6 for 42 in Adelaide. And Irfan Pathan won it in Perth. I think he got 4 wickets in each innings.
Okay, then Irfan Pathan. I mean, I remember fast bowler winning it for us.
Yeah, Irfan.
But even Agarkar has a man of the match, I think, abroad. I remember him running through an inning.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Agarkar has run through a side only once in test match, which is Adelaide in Australia. Second innings, he got 6 for 42.
Did we win in Adelaide?
We won in Adelaide, but Rahul Dravid was man of the match. He scored 270 plus 60.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, okay.
He scored 270 and then he scored, I think, 60 odd in the second.
I remember, what is that sling fast bowler's name from Australia? He played that Perth test match. So they were playing with 4 fast bowlers. And the fourth one was that Pat.
Sean
Tate, yeah. And they played him, and I think we scored 100 runs against him in one inning. I think he just got 1 wicket or something in one of the innings.
Okay. Coming back to this game. So, first 15 overs, of course, all of us were ecstatic. India was going really well, right? 14 overs, I think India got to 100. And then, of course, Ganguly charged Tudor and, he was bowled. And then wickets started falling, Even Sehwag got out to a very strange shot, if you remember. He didn't know to go forward or back, and he he played a very awkward shot to Giles and he was bowled.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Rahul Dravid, I think he flicked and got mid-wicket straight away. Then Dinesh Mangia was squeezed down the leg side. So now CAF and this guy walks in, Yuvraj. So what was going through your heads when India lost 5 wickets, 146, Mahinder? What was going through your head? Did you actually watch it, or were you like the others?
No, I watched it, but I was like so tensed. Those days, if Sachin, we always think that if Sachin gets out, we'll think that the match is over. But that
especially in that series, right? Especially in that series.
Yeah, he was playing so well.
Gets out, and I don't know if you remember the commentary when Sachin got out. I think I don't recall who was commentating, but he clearly said, "Now there goes India's chances of."
Yeah.
I think it was Mark Nicholas.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, but so tense to watch every every ball, and but I was so I got so confident when Kaif hit that 6 of Irani, and from that point, and we all know how Baji bats, right? Those 15 runs were very crucial at that point.
Yeah. So one thing I remember was, I think what really helped, couple of things really helped. First, the start India got. India's run rate was pretty good. And when India lost those wickets, none of the batsmen, fortunately, took a lot of balls. They were out in the first 4 or 5 balls they received.
Yes.
So our run rate was decent. Plus, I think what really helped was that Yuvraj, he started off really well. He started with a slew of boundaries. Yeah. I think that helped KF kind of settle down, because if even Yuvraj had played very cautiously and then both were trying to settle down, then our run rate would have really suffered. Because Yuvraj was playing very fluently, it kind of gave KF the liberty to kind of take his time, because that's not his game, right? That's KF's game is to just take 1s and 2s, and then later on he starts opening up a little bit more. I think that really helped. Plus, I think where England went wrong a little bit is they should have come hard on India when KF and Yuvraj were trying to settle down. What Nasir Hussain did, he took off Flintoff, he took off Gough. They were the 2 strike bowlers, right? They thought that, we'll keep them for the dead and then we'll bring them on. That's a mistake they did, right? I think all good captain, and I was very surprised because Nasir Hussain usually was a very aggressive captain. And this was very unlike Nasir Hussain. And I saw a Nasir Hussain interview, and Mark Nicholas actually asked Nasir Hussain this question. And in hindsight, Nasir Hussain said that was a mistake I did. I thought they were so far behind. They had 180 runs to go. I thought, this was going to be a cakewalk. And I took it easy. I took the foot off the pedal. Any good aggressive captain would have gone for the kill.
I have a reason behind why he did this, because it was his only century in 1 days. And he wanted to take the safe way and have a winning century. Because
possibly, you're right.
So he was being heavily criticized before that match, right? And that number 3 gesture was bad, because people were questioning whether he is a capable number 3, because the number 3 position is a very crucial one, right? And Hussain was never a good one-day player. I mean, I think he averages 31 or 32, I think, which is pretty substandard for a one-down batsman, I believe. So
yeah. No, and again, Nasir Hussain, for me, he was one of the better captains of world cricket. So I was very surprised that he did not do that, and that kind of played into our hands a little bit. And I think you mentioned about Harbhajan, right, Mahinder? I think that little cameo that Harbhajan played was also very important, because it had become a little tricky. And if you remember, he hit a 6. Harbhajan also hit a 6.
Yeah,
that was crucial, of course. And then CAF batted beautifully.
And also we got a few lucky balls, and then I think they tried to bowl the Yorker, and they came to full toss, and it was a bit lucky also.
No, because CAF's game most of the time I remember is he would play the ball on the onside and run hard, and he would do. But in this game, the one aspect I saw of CAF, he hit a few very good cover drives.
Yeah.
Which is not CAF's game, right? CAF is not known for his booming cover drive. I mean, he was a strong leg side player, plus he would hustle. But here he played some really good shots.
Correct. Yeah. So I still remember like how nervous Harbhajan was. I think although he scored that crucial 15 runs, he was not quite comfortable. He was like obviously young Harbhajan. He was quite tense actually. I think the CAF only pulled that match off. I mean, he was quite cool. I mean, even though he must been definitely a pressure, but that did not show off his kind of face. I think he was quite cool. Even after Yuvraj got out, he hit a six. Immediately after Yuvraj getting out, he hit a six. Correct. That was, I think, very relaxing for me. Like there is someone who can hit sixes. Correct. Even after Yuvraj was out. So I think it was call like CAF in the end, and I think probably the greatest ever inning he probably would have played for India. Correct. CAF. I think I don't remember any other inning of CAF. I think.
So the other
I
innings,
still
the other
remember.
good
I was
innings
like,
is Champions Trophy. I don't know if you remember. India was 87 for 5 in 2002 Champions Trophy against Zimbabwe, and he scored 100. He scored
No, I
100,
don't
and
remember.
Dravid scored like a 70 or 80.
No, I don't
And he
remember.
also scored a match-winning 80 against New Zealand World Cup semi-final. So we were chasing a small score, and he scored I think 80 odd.
Semi-final,
Again New Zealand. I think semi-final or quarter-final. I think 2003. Whoever we
No,
played
so,
in the semi-final.
So it was not it was one of the league games. We didn't have quarterfinals, right? We had only semis. There was no quarterfinals in the 2003
So he played
format.
a
He played a
match-winning
good
80.
innings. Yeah, he played a good innings.
And that was the only 80 he had. I think he was playing one down in that series.
But no,
he was
he
brought
made
in.
some crucial contribution, right? The New Zealand game, then even Pakistan game after after they got out, right? Sachin got out, and then that was Yuvraj and Dravid. No, it was not CAF. Yeah, CAF played well in the New Zealand game, correct?
No, but didn't we have a quarterfinal in that 2003? Because we had semis, we had Kenya, right? Semis we played Kenya. And,
there was no
quarters.
Okay. No, the format was everyone played. We had two pools there. It was not everybody played everybody, right? There was two pools.
Okay.
We had Super 6 or whatever they used to call it.
I mean, coming back to this match, I think if you flip the scenario, right, I would rather have CAF at the end rather than Yuvraj, because Yuvraj plays more big shots, right? So with 2 runs of 4 balls and with 2 wickets in hand, I would rather have CAF, who would think more conservatively and look for a double or a single, rather than Yuvraj, who would go for a big shot and
get out.
So yeah. I would have preferred, how it turned out.
And in this situation, the last man was Nehra. Nehra in those days could not even keep a single ball out. I mean, can you imagine Flintoff bowling a Yorker to him? And if you really look at the last ball also, it was a really close run. And the ball went to their best fielder, Collingwood. If he would have hit a direct hit, CAF was out, and that would have been the game, because then Nehra would be, then this Zahir Khan would be facing Flintoff.
Correct.
So that was something that you'd never forget, right? And then of course the historic moment of the T-shirt flip. And I don't know, you must have seen. You mentioned, Jolin, you saw the interview with this guy, right? With Gautam Sathe. So when Ganguly removed his T-shirt, Harbhajan was sitting next to him, and Harbhajan asked Ganguly, "Ki main kya karu?" So Ganguly said, "Tu bhi nikal de." When he was doing that, Lakshman or Dravid was standing next to him, and they were like, "No, don't do it," and pulled his T-shirt down.
So I think, in all, I think that was a really, really good win. I would say. I'm obviously we won a lot of the match afterwards, but I think that was something unusual. Chasing 300 plus in final, having 120 for 5, and everything was against us in that match. And I think another regret I have is I don't know why Dinesh Mongia was ever selected Indian team. Correct? I think must be a Ganguly's favorite, because he was there in 2003 World Cup as well. I still don't believe. Probably just a pressure from BCCI or somewhere, because I think he was.
This question was asked to Sourav Ganguly, and again, people will agree, will not agree. One thing he said, the reason he had picked Dinesh Mongia, because again, Lakshman till then had not done anything spectacular in one day, right? I mean, Lakshman, if you really look at it, he had really good series in 2004 in Australia, where he got 200, and then he got 100 in Pakistan also, the last game, which India won. Lakshman got 100. Prior to that, he had not done well in one days. Plus, I think his fear was the fifth bowler, right? India was weak. So he thought with Dinesh Mongia, he would have that extra bowler. And that is one of the reasons why he was picked.
Plus
Again,
a better fielder also.
Yeah, better field. And then again, but to your point, I think maybe India should have tried somebody else, not Dinesh Mongia. And the reason they did not drop Dinesh Mongia was, if you remember, he was in the Zimbabwe series prior to that, and he got a 159 or something in one game against Zimbabwe in one day.
Yeah, possible. So it was not against Ganguly, rather than, it's why he was even in the team, correct? I'm not saying replaced by Lakshman.
This was the explanation that Ganguly gave, that was his thinking. And as luck would have it, Lakshman never played a World Cup game in his whole career. He's one of our greatest batsmen who's never played in the World Cup.
Correct.
My problem with that selection was Mongia playing at number 3. Number 3 is a very crucial position. Mongia playing in the 11 is fine. You can play him a little lower, and he has the bowling option. I think your top 2 players should play in the top 3. That's in one day international with 50 overs in the hand. Your top.
No, but he didn't play number 3. He didn't play number 3. Ganguly played number 3 in the World Cup.
No, but
he played number 3 because Sachin
NatWest he played number 3. He played number 3.
NatWest he did, yeah. But in the World Cup, he was not playing number 3. He was batting down the order because he played. Ganguly was playing number 3.
I would have, so in a foreign venue, I would have picked Lakshman over Mongia any day. If the World Cup was in India, I would have picked Mongia. But in a foreign condition, in any foreign condition, I would have picked Lakshman as a backup batsman, even if we did not play the matches.
Again, in hindsight, I would agree. But again, my discussion, I would have possibly picked somebody else completely, because till 2003, Lakshman had not done much in one-day cricket at all. It's after 2003 he got some, he got a run of scores. But yeah, I would not pick Dinesh Mongia. I would definitely pick somebody else, be it whoever, Hemang Badani or somebody. Because Hemang Badani was very similar. He would bowl left arm spin and he would bat.
He was a duplicate. I mean, absolute similar. I mean, very similar.
And in fact, Hemang Badani in 2001 he got 100 in the game that we saw in Pune.
100, I know.
That game in Australia against Australia, he got 100 against Australia. So again, I think that's one thing that was debatable. But yeah, this 2000. And the other thing I remember is when CAF won. And then Ganguly and Dravid, they jumped on CAF.
Yeah, that's right. Ganguly was, I don't know, ecstatic. I don't know. I still like, as a captain, I think he was far better. But I think the team, he got sometimes was not right. I think as a captain, like some of the selections were very weird when Ganguly was captain, and still he managed to win a lot of games for us. So Ganguly was Ganguly, I think. Obviously,
that's going to be one of our future discussion topics.
I think talking about selections, I think Sachin was horrific. I mean, during Sachin's captaincy, we had some horrific players. I mean, some of the players were so bad that I could replace them. I mean, they were so bad. Jacob Mart. I mean, I could name like 10 players.
Not to defend him, not to defend Sachin, but that time, and I'll tell you, so it was not because Sachin wanted to pick them. I'll tell you what the problem with his captaincy was. He never pushed back. I mean, that was his problem. It's not that Sachin didn't. This famous story that we have is Sujit Somsundar, if you remember. He was picked. When the selectors picked Sujit Somsundar, Sachin didn't even know who he was. They just thrust it on his throat. Because Sourav Ganguly got injured in the Titan Cup. And they wanted a one-day cricketer, and somebody from, we have a zonal selection committee, right? So the South Zone person said, Sujit Somsundar is a hard-hitting batsman. And Sachin didn't even know who he was. So again, you can't blame Sachin for picking him.
And that was quite ironic because he was hard-hitting because he hardly hit the ball.
Yeah, hardly hit the ball.
That was the ironic part.
Yeah, so probably that was the reason I think Sachin could play India for like more than whatever he played, correct? Because I think he was a great batsman. There is no debate, but I think he never pushed back, correct? So I think he was, I think, BCCI's favorite. Whoever was a BCCI boss was.
Correct. Yes, and Azharuddin was very similar to Sachin.
And even Dravid is similar. All three are very, very nice boys.
No, like
Dominated
Azharuddin
everything.
also. Azharuddin, he was made captain after 1989. After Srikanth was the captain, and then what they did, Srikanth was he was very strong-headed. He would not listen to people, even Dilip Vengsarkar. So Azharuddin was a compromise candidate as a captain because he never objected to anything. Whatever was given to him, he'll handle that. And I think that's the problem, and that's where Ganguly was different, and that's why Imran Khan is highly rated. Imran Khan would fight with the selectors to get the team he needed because he would say that I cannot take your team and go because eventually if I lose, you're going to blame me, right? If you're going to blame me, you have to pick players who I'm willing to back.
Correct.
Okay, Harbhajan is a classic example, right? 2001, Kumble got injured. They wanted to bring in Charandeep Singh, the selectors. Dada pushed back. He said, he was not even playing domestic cricket that time, Harbhajan. He got him in the nets and he bowled well in the nets and then he picked. And of course, rest is history, as you know, 32
Correct.
wickets and
Harbhajan was almost banned from BCCI because of a misconduct. But then Ganguly brought him back.
Again, so that's going to be one of our future topics where we're going to discuss captaincy.
One small caveat about this match: Steve Buckner almost tried his best to make us lose this match. Anil Kumble was not out clearly. So.
Oh yeah. So he did not edge it, right? It was he was trying to slash hard and he was given
slash it. Yeah. So Steve Buckner tried his best.
I still don't understand why. I think he was always against India, correct? Like so many instances. I don't know whether it's just the way we used to appeal. I don't know.
Sachin's LBW.
Oh man, he was irritated by India anyway all the time. Yeah.
And then an important game. So this was a test match against South Africa in their first tour to South Africa, 92-93 series. First test, India was doing really well. And they were, again, their backs were against the wall. And Jonty Rhodes was out. He was run out. And he refused to take the third umpire. And he was given not out. And then his Jonty Rhodes innings turned out to be the turning point. The India lost that game.
2008 last test match. Anil Kumble, I think, had three plum LBWs in Australia where they drew.
2004.
2004. Steve
was last game. Yeah.
I think Anil Kumble had like 4 or 5 clear plum in fronts, but was not given. We would have won that series. That would have been our first series win in Australia in 2004.
Correct. True. So I think Ganguly was lucky in so many ways. He could have won World Cup. He could have won, overseas win. I think everything ultimately went to Kohli. Even Dhoni was unlucky sometimes, I would say, in test matches. So I think everything is.
I was not very impressed with Dhoni in test match. His test match captaincy wasn't the greatest. For me, he is the greatest one-day T20 captain that has India, and I think he's one of the best in the world when it comes to limited overs. Test cricket, I never rated Dhoni very highly because, first of all, he doesn't have any records to show as well. If you really look at it,
as a player, I agree.
No, not only I'm talking about as a captain. Even he was not aggressive enough. And abroad, if you want to win test matches, you have to be aggressive. And you have to take 20 wickets. There is no way you can be. See, in one day and T20, you can be smart and you can be defensive. And Dhoni was really good with that. One day and T20.
I think he was very lucky to have a very finished test side when he took over. So that's
why he became number one when he was captain.
Yes, because that was his initial part of his test captaincy. Because Kumble, I think, gave up in 2008, right? That was his last series. And then he got a very balanced team. And a team.
Plus India got a lot of India test matches also.
And if you remember.
No, and if you remember, India got, not only Tendulkar, Sehwag was in form. 2008 to 2011.
Gautam Gambhir, Tendulkar and all three were in form in test matches.
Yeah.
No, not only that, plus India played a bunch of test matches at home. Right after that series, Australia, England, New Zealand, so India got a number of test matches under Dhoni at home.
Correct.
Because if you look at Dhoni's abroad record, other than the South Africa draw series, he's lost.
It's not good.
No, he's lost each and every series in abroad, other than that one drawn series in South Africa.
Yeah, you definitely draw or lose the series because if you have only one spinner playing in the 11 and you have a Jadeja, you cannot win the test matches in any case, correct? So that was horrible. I think the match I think we drew against South Africa, correct? Oh man, like how can you have Jadeja? Any other spinner would have won us the match on that day. It was horrible. I think anyway, I still remember Jadeja bowling 25, 30, 35 overs and couldn't take even a single wicket.
I mean, that's a debatable topic again. I think I would any day pick Jadeja over Ashwin abroad. Any single day. Every single day.
Only
And he
one
has a better
spinner.
record.
Agreed, but if you are having only one spinner playing in top 11, it cannot
I
be
would
Jadeja.
abroad. I would pick Jadeja
But remember something.
Every single time.
Problem is we don't have a Kumble or Harbhajan, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Kumble, Harbhajan, separate options.
And the thing with Jadeja is he brings at least the other aspects, right? He bats well also abroad. Then his fielding is also there. So unless
I think he's a better bowler abroad than Ashwin because he's much more accurate. He will not. So on a spinning track, which you will never get abroad.
He cannot win a test match, but that is too much to expect because even Kumble and Harbhajan also didn't win test matches abroad.
Neither has Ashwin has. I mean, Ashwin has had multiple options.
So
and Ashwin is the world's best bowler with Anderson in the last decade. He's the number one.
He's number one, highest wicket takers. Number one.
I mean, I mean that stat is a little skewed. I feel. I mean,
because
it's not the right. Yeah, exactly.
So much in India. I mean, his statistics are more skewed, even more than Kumble.
And we would criticize Kumble so much.
Because if you see, Kumble has taken 6 wickets in South Africa. He's taken 6 wickets in
Australia.
And Harbhajan had taken 5 wickets in New Zealand. He's taken 5 wickets in South Africa. So, but
Kumble has 5 wickets in West Indies also. With a broken jaw.
Yeah.
I'm Sanjay Manjrekar Academy, correct? I still believe he's a bits and pieces player.
you might lose your job.
Yeah, so because I don't like him in a test match, I think like he's a great asset to have because it's a 3-dimensional player, so on and so. But I think see, to win a test matches, and that's why I think this guy is winning. Kohli because
you just called Jadeja 3D player. I thought Ambati Raidu was our 3D player.
No, Vijay Shankar. Vijay Shankar is 3D player. Vijay Shankar is 3D player. He's 3D. He's 4D also. He's 4D. He's drinksman also.
Yeah, that cost us a World Cup, correct? Raidu not being in the World Cup. I think the same thing. Mongia in 2003 World Cup and Vijay Shankar in 2000. Recent World Cup. I'm saying.
No, I thought India should have picked Ajinkya Rahane. I still like Ajinkya Rahane because under pressure, if the ball is moving, Ajinkya Rahane. I mean, Ajinkya Rahane had a great 2015 World Cup. He played awesome. I think Ajinkya Rahane possibly played the best innings of the 2015 World Cup. I don't know if you remember. Against South Africa, he scored, I think, 80 odd of 59 or 60 balls. And the way he was middling the ball. Because Ajinkya Rahane, Indian condition, Ajinkya Rahane, I agree. I mean, he doesn't have the power to, hit big sixes. But on difficult wickets, Ajinkya Rahane is good.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a Raidu only because Raidu was playing for us for a couple of years. I think he was just out of flavor. I don't know what happened. What did he do? But I think Raidu probably in the game probably would have won the match. I would say World Cup easily in England.
No, and again, Dhoni was a great guy, but Dhoni was insufferable. I mean, in the last year or so. I mean, earlier I would want to watch Dhoni at least, finish games off. In the end, I used to hate it because, and I knew most 9 times out of 10 Dhoni would lose the game for us because.
And he just didn't have the same. I was so when Dhoni played well in the IPL, I was like, oh shit, now he'll play every match in the World Cup. As soon as he played awesome in the IPL, I knew that Pant will not play a match, right? And I was gunning for Dhoni to flop in that IPL, but he just blew everybody in that IPL, and because of that. There was over-reliance on Dhoni for the World Cup. Also, I feel I'm not a big fan of Ambati Raidu, but anyone is better than Vijay Shankar. But if you remember, we had a discussion on Jadeja playing, and I still stick to my gun. With those 2 spinners, Chawal and Kuldeep Yadav, you should have played Jadeja because he gives you depth again. So play Jadeja with one of the two spinners, whoever is in form.
No, but India didn't play both of them, right? Initially, only couple of games they played. But then, I had told you, right? Jadeja is not going to play from the beginning.
But I think he should have played because we were top heavy and we didn't have a middle order. Jadeja would have given us a little impetus.
I tell you why Jadeja should have played, because Kuldeep Yadav was not in good form.
Horrible. He was horrible through there.
I mean, other than getting that wicket of Babar Azam,
exactly.
which was one of the best deliveries of the World Cup, but other than that, he didn't do much.
Yeah. So if you rely on Jadeja, even like betting, then I think anyway you have lost the match. So I don't believe him as an all-rounder for sure. Probably a fielding and bowling all-rounder, but batting, I think he played couple of innings. But if you have to rely on a Jadeja to score run, and then you are in a dip shit, I would say. Yeah.
No, that I agree. I mean, Jadeja is almost like an insurance, right, at the back of the innings, that if you have few runs to get, but you cannot.
You're not going to get that insurance money for sure.
No, so the only reason you should pick Jadeja. So I understand if Kuldeep Yadav is bowling out of his skin, then of course pick him, no doubt, because India needs a bowler first. But if Kuldeep Yadav is also not doing the job, he definitely doesn't know how to bat. In that case, Jadeja would be more useful.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of playing two spinners abroad, no matter how good you are. Play one spinner, play your best spinner.
No, I'll tell you what. One problem that the current Indian team has is none of the top batsmen actually bowl. I think that's a big drawback, and India kind of suffered because of that a little bit. If you really look at it, Kohli doesn't bowl, Rohit Sharma doesn't bowl, Shikhar Dhawan doesn't bowl, KL Rahul doesn't bowl, Dhoni doesn't bowl. I mean, 5 batsmen I can count right now who don't bowl at all.
Yeah.
Earlier, if you see in 2003, Sachin used to bowl, Sehwag used to bowl, Saurav used to bowl, Yuvraj used to bowl. 4 you had. I mean, getting 10 overs from 4 bowlers is much better. Abhi India का problem यही होता है ना कि 5th bowler एक बार मार खाता है. So India is screwed now completely.
Raidu भी bowling डाल सकता है. So I think Raidu would have been a better choice in all those. I'm telling you.
पर Raidu तो domestic में भी नहीं डालता है अभी.
अभी वो like वो तो yeah, go ahead, Avik. Yeah.
I would have picked left field. I would have taken Raina to the World Cup any day.
Yeah. Any
day I would have taken Raina. Raina, even if he would have flopped for like 6 matches, but in the 2 matches he would have played, he would have been a match winner.
Correct.
I mean, because his game for one-day internationals is very, very well suited. He might have been a little out of form, I agree, but Ambati Raidu also. Ambati Raidu, my problem with Ambati Raidu is not a match winner is like the understatement of the century, but I mean, he doesn't have that spark. There's something wrong with him. He has a 40 average. You can't deny his statistics. He has a 40 plus average. He scores those runs at an 80 strike rate. That's my problem. My problem with Ambati Raidu and Rohit Sharma of pre-2016 was that they took too many balls. They took 40 balls to pick up and settle down. And Rohit Sharma has the big shots to compensate. Ambati Raidu does not. So if you're an Ambati Raidu, take singles from the first ball.
Agreed. I mean, I was just comparing him with Vijay Shankar. Like, if you start comparing, then
absolutely.
Yeah. Because it was a choice between Ambati Raidu and Vijay Shankar. So that's why I said. Otherwise, anyway, I think you need to know the history as well. Probably shouldn't, because he was kind of one of the victim of that Z thing. Correct? I think they come up with some sort of ICL or something. And
ICL,
yeah. So his career got screwed by. He probably would have been one of the premier player India ever produced. Correct? Raidu, in terms of the skills that he had, he probably was the under-19 captain.
Indian under-19 captain. Yeah.
I agree. He would have been a great player. If he had got too many chances.
Correct.
He screwed up with one of the selector, and they ruined his.
No, he also had an attitude problem.
Yeah, that's there, but
when he was younger, he
has good shots also. He's not only a single taking player. If you look at the IPL record, right, he plays really good.
Correct. Yeah. So I think
I agree, for the World Cup, it would have been a good choice.
Correct. All in all, I think I mean to say you regret one thing, correct? And that is the team selection in 2003
Yeah.
as well as 2019 World Cup. One player here and there, we could have won the World Cup.
Honestly, 2003 World Cup, that Australian team was too good, man. I mean, you have to give it to them. Do you think even today any of these teams they could have stood against that Australian team? I mean, that team was just too freaking good, man. I mean, all 11 players, they were just too good. I mean, they were possibly all-time the greatest team.
Yeah, blame it on Ganguly. Why would you even give a batting to Australian team? I think after winning the toss, I still don't understand.
Chasing, I also don't understand that. Why were we chasing that finals?
It's impossible to give Australia always prefers batting first in all the finals, correct?
No,
Why would you
and-
even give that choice? Yeah.
So
Also your best informed player sucks in the finals. Like Sachin compared to
correct.
league stage, Sachin Sachin Tendulkar is Don Bradman. And final Sachin is a little different Sachin. He's a little more nervous Sachin.
Correct.
no, but again, India had successfully chased in that World Cup throughout.
Low scores. Yeah, right?
No, Pakistan 270 plus. That time it was a big score.
Yeah, but see,
Yeah,
you
but
can't
league
compare
stage- league
Australia
stage.
with any other team.
India won almost all the games chasing in the World Cup.
Yeah, but you can't
I
compare
agree.
Australia.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, New
But
Zealand.
against the best team, I don't think we should have chased.
Yeah.
We did not have Virat Kohli and Dhoni. Come 2013, I would have said chase. Because Dhoni and Virat
but,
Kohli.
I mean, that is what most people say, right? That in a big final, you are better off batting first. I mean, that's something. Again, all these questions have already been asked, and I've seen so many different interviews, and that was the logic given by Ganguly, that we were chasing really well, and batting was a stronger suite. So we would rather do something under pressure that we are better at rather than doing bowling, because I know the bowlers were bowling really well.
Bowling,
That World Cup.
excellent, exactly.
Bowling, but I mean, historically, even these three bowlers have gotten screwed in the past, right? I mean,
Also in the
Srinath,
finals. Also in the finals. They
finals,
got.
yeah.
I mean,
So that's what I'm saying. So again, that is my thing was, I think somehow we should have tried. When Damian Martin and Ponting started hitting, maybe we should have tried a few more other changes. Maybe Ganguly should have bowled, or Sachin should have bowled a little more.
Yeah. So
And
I think
Sachin-
that's a topic for another.
Another discussion. So guys, let's wrap it up. I know it's been a while. Again, thanks for joining this. So next week, I just wanted to quickly see what would interest you. Do we do another game, or should we just pick up another topic and just discuss on that? What is the preference of this
a
week?
topic is better, I think.
So should I just pick a topic? Why don't you guys give me some suggestions on WhatsApp, what topics, and then we can, by consensus decide on what we want to discuss.
Yeah.
One thing I had in mind was just talking about captaincy in general, talking about our favorite captains, not only India, but across the board. What we liked about certain captains and what we liked about some other captains. So that could be one, but again, I leave it to all of us. So if you could send me a few topics, we can finally decide. And what we'll do, I mean, this time Monday is a holiday for us, so we could do it. I'm thinking we should do it on a Saturday, maybe Saturday
Yes.
later, maybe Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern or something. That way, it'll be Sunday morning for you. Jolin, it'll work for you as well. I mean, there'll be a couple other people who might be joining.
But hats off to Jolin for joining at 4:30 in the morning.
I know. Jolin, I mean, this shows your interest in cricket, man.
No, so I think I was in double mind. Then I set the alarm and then thought so I could wake up even before alarm was on. So I think anyway, yeah.
But it was fun,
Anyway.
guys. I mean, I had a lot of fun discussing it with you guys. Hopefully you
we
did.
can do a weekend morning call so that it becomes an evening call for him, right? Rather than an odd hour like this.
That can work as well. So what do you guys prefer, Jolin, Mahinder?
For me, I think evenings are better. Even 7:30 is too early for me. So I think evenings would be much better for me.
You mean
But I
evening
think
India time, right?
yeah, evening India time. So I think even late morning also would work. 11 a.m. noon. See, it doesn't matter. Even 2 p.m. also would work for me. Like your afternoons, EST. It's 11:30, 12. Correct? I can
So
still.
Mahinder, Are you able to join in the future also, Mahinder, in our discussions?
Yeah, I will try my best.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Some of the weeks, if you're not able to join, that's fine. But does Saturday morning or Sunday morning work better for you? What works better?
Sunday will work better.
Sunday morning, Prince? Does that work?
Sunday morning is fine. I think 4:30 a.m. for him should be like. I mean, it's a very very odd
Right.
time.
Right. So
Let's
why
just
not
work
we
on
do
that.
why not we do 11 a.m. Eastern or something like that? Or
Yeah,
10
that
a.m. 10
would
a.m.
work
Eastern.
well. Yep.
10 a.m. That way, if you do 10 a.m. Eastern, Prince, even for you, it is not that early. I mean, it's 8 o'clock.
I anyway get up.
And then 10 o'clock would be 7:30 p.m. for you, Jolin. So that should work, right?
Yeah, that should work.
So let's do then Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, guys, hold on. Let me just take, for the thumbnail, let me just take a photograph.
एक मिनट अभिषेक, एक मिनट.
हाँ. Okay. See the screenshot ले लेता हूँ.
Screenshot is a better option. It will be clearer.
Now you can take screenshot if you have not taken.
Cool. All right, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun. Let's continue to do this, and I'll send you the details of my channel. I'm going to upload this on my channel, and then share it with friends. I know we have a lot of cricket-loving people. If folks want to join us for a discussion, that'll be great.
I had one suggestion. If you're uploading this, edit this because make it shorter because people will not watch an hour and a half long videos.
That's true.
So I think you should edit it somehow.
Okay, I think first few videos might not be edited, but
Okay.
That's what even my daughter told me, that Papa, you have to learn how to edit.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do that.
I can give you a free 2-3 good free softwares. I'll recommend that to you.
Okay.
I'm doing it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Chalo guys, thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. This was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yep. It was. Bye. Thank you.